Corporations are dead. They're dead entities, corpses, and they're registered with the government. And the word government means mind control. So the government controls the minds of dead bodies. Okay? So the government gives you a dead entity, and the word government means mind control, controls the minds of, I have to pay taxes. Controlling your mind, I think you have to pay taxes. And you do have to pay taxes. While the trust is basically a living spirit, it's eternal, and it's a private company in which, say, like the public company's got the CEO, the COO, the CFO. It's got all these officers, these distinct positions that usually are not the same person. The trust, while you can appoint and hire different people to do different roles, with your discretionary complex provisions, you're the CFO, you're the CEO, you're the COO, but it's all wrapped up into one thing called the trustee, and it's private. So it's a private company where you have full autonomy and discretion to do business with options that you don't have as a person, to do your taxes where you don't have options the same options as a person, and to deal with the legal system where you can't do that as a person. So the trust is actually like, you could think of it like a private company where you're the employer and the employee in a trust, which is why you cut yourself a salary. You can even give yourself a signing bonus if you want to. You could do whatever you want. It's not publicly structured and like tied down in a very structured way that you have to do it this way, and if you don't do it this way, you're going to get in trouble. You'll get in trouble doing things the wrong way in a trust, but you have so much more fluidity inside the trust. Handle the money, handle the taxes, handle business, handle legal stuff. You have much more what you call freedom. It is freedom, actually, compared to the other way is not freedom. It's the illusion of freedom in an LLC. It's a really great holding company. You wrap it around your XRP, but you still got to report to the government every year. You got to do your minutes. You got to do your annual reporting, and you got to pay those taxes every year. That works. You can do that. You've been doing that your whole life. If you're W-2 or even a company owner or 1099, you know that you need to pay your taxes every year. That's a given. That's a given. The trust operates completely the opposite. But you can't defer taxes. The trust can. The trust files its own tax return based on the assets that it owns and the businesses that it does. When your corporations and your LLCs are owned by the trust, now the trust is filing taxes for all of that money coming in. It has different options because of the discretionary, complex, and spendthrift options. Basically, you call the shots when it comes to the IRS, legal system, and the business world. Later, Papa. So while the LLC is effective, the question is how effective is it, and then what are the goals? Because the fundamental question that the name of the live is do you do an XRP trust or an XRP LLC? The fundamental question is flawed. It's not whether you do an LLC or a trust for your XRP. It's whether you want your name on it or not. Whether you want to continue to operate publicly or finally step into the private. That's the question. Do you want things coming back to you or not coming back to you? Liability-wise, legal-wise, tax-wise. Do you want to continue that path? Or do you want to step out of the way and let the proper entity, the living spirit of a trust, take on all that burden? Because it does. And it gives your situation as the operator, as the steward, way more advantage, way more leverage, and way more options in the system. And anybody that's creating an LLC for you technically just doesn't mean they can't have an opinion or want to look out for you. I don't want you to hear like the advice is bad. What I'm saying is that that's not their role, is to advise you on the taxes. The person creating the LLC for you is not the person to advise you on the taxes. You want to talk to a tax person that knows the IRS code for either the LLCs, which you do, or the IRS codes for the trust, which you do. So it becomes a question of, so the fundamental question is do you want your name on it, or do you want to be shielded from anybody seeing, including the government, who actually owns or who's a trustee of the trust? You can instead of your name on the LLC, where the taxes will come back to you, and you have to do that every year, You put your trust name on there. And if you go to someone to create you an LLC, they shouldn't care what you do about the taxes. They shouldn't be steering you one way or the other about your taxes. Unless they're an IRS enrolled agent or a tax professional, they can have their opinions, but they shouldn't be throwing any kind of like, you can't do that. They shouldn't be touching that topic. You should explore that yourself and find out the answers for yourself. And you can do it that way, or you can dive deeper onto the topic and realize it's not a question of whether you put your assets in a LLC or a trust, because there is no question. Your trust gets more tax advantages than an LLC, which is really just an extension of your your Social Security person, because again, at the end of every year, you have to take care of those taxes. You have to pay them. You have to do that. Trust handles it differently. So you can have your crypto in a wallet and still do all the things that you can do with your person. You just do it one step back. You have a shield in front of you called a trust. Crypto's in a wallet owned by the trust. You want to put it, like, let the LLC do it. And go let the LLC do what it needs to do. The fundamental question comes to be, what do you do at the end of the year with taxes? And how do you minimize taxes along the way? You can't really do that with your person. LLC does give you some advantages, but it's supposed to be limited. LLCs are designed to be limited and keep you still attached to the asset, so you have liability. And there's a fundamental question of, should people put their XRP in a trust or in an LLC? And it's fundamentally the wrong question. It comes down to, do people want to continue to operate the tax-based slave system just at an elevated level of, well, I've got this nice shiny LLC with my name still on it, so I still have to do those taxes in a very similar way? Or do I relinquish the need to have that headache in my life and say, give the asset over to the trust and let the trust hold it as ownership and still do whatever you're going to do as far as returns, trading, staking, whatever. It just handles the taxes differently. But physically, it's still in a wallet, so you can do whatever you need to do. It comes down to your background paperwork and what you're going to do at the end of the year for as far as taxes go.